is bothering me and won't leave me alone.
Marcus, are you raising your hand? Yes, Marcus. Well, very well said, Amy.
If you ever wondered about the challenges teaching elementary school children over Zoom, now you know. Kudos to our incredible teachers. Next, I'd like to introduce our State of the City video, which will highlight some accomplishments over the last year, as well as our community's response to the pandemic. Let's take a look.
2020 began like most years do in Pasadena, with a parade and a football game. But it wasn't long before we all began to realize that we were experiencing a time like no other. As in years prior, the busy annual holiday season gave way to a full calendar of public events and activities, with many in the community not yet aware of the growing concerns surrounding reports of a mystery virus overseas for which the city had already begun to prepare. Many felt caught off guard when a local public health emergency was declared by the city on March 4th, 2020. Like the rest of the country, Pasadena was forced to quickly shift to a new reality, one full of much uncertainty and unfamiliar concepts, such as social distancing and PPE. Within days, our community would be grappling with the challenges of grocery lines, distance learning, telecommuting, and everything else that goes along with living under safer-at-home orders. Soon, Pasadenans began to display the resilient characteristics that make our community such a great place to live. Neighbors helping neighbors, everyday heroes doing the essential work so many of us rely on. As spring turned to summer, our community, like many others, faced new challenges. The senseless murder of George Floyd and the public outcry that followed gave way to what would become months of protests and demonstrations demanding long overdue social justice reforms. Our California sunshine was further dimmed and took shape, turning our blue skies gray and even red in some instances. Locally, the Bobcat fire came knocking on our doorstep. Time and time again, our community pulled together and rose to meet the challenges we faced. Despite these challenges, our city was able to accomplish many things during this past year, laying the groundwork for what promises to be better days ahead. Mayor Gordo has been holding regular backyard chats concerning the state of our great city. Keep watching till the end of the program for this week's backyard chat. Remember, we are all better when we work together.
In no recent time have we felt more acutely the unprecedented effects of a global pandemic, vital reckonings in matters of race and equity in all aspects of society, and the importance of everyone's vote being counted, all in one year. And yet, through it all, the city has demonstrated resilience, compassion for our community in need, and continued vision and leadership with our newly elected Mayor, Victor Gordo. For those of you who don't know Mayor Gordo, I'd like to share a little bit of his life history. Born in Zacatecas, Mexico, Victor emigrated to the United States with his parents as a young child. The oldest of 6 children, Victor grew up in Pasadena and is a proud product of USD. Both of his parents worked 2 jobs. Victor's father was a dishwasher and cook at Ranchero's Mexican restaurant for 50 years. His late mother, who died when his youngest brother was 4 years old, was a seamstress. From age 9 until 17 years old, Victor delivered the Pasadena Star-News, and every day and every weekend. When Victor enrolled at Pasadena City College, he became the first person in his family to attend college. continuing his education at Azusa Pacific University, studying business, management, and finance. He later attended law school at the University of Laverne School of Law. Victor was elected to represent Pasadena District 5 on the Pasadena City Council in March 2001, where he served until he was recently elected the third citywide mayor on November 3rd. Victor lives in District 5 with his wife, Kelly, and his two children, Michael and Emma. I've had the pleasure to serve on the City Council alongside Victor since 2015, quite literally alongside. We sit next to each other on the dais. And I look forward to continuing to work together during his tenure as mayor. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to my friend and our newest mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Wilson. I would like to start by thanking my beautiful family, my wife, Kelly, daughter, Emma, and son, Michael. It is only because of their sacrifice and support that I'm able to serve as mayor. To yours to report the state of the city. As we begin to emerge from the COVID crisis, I do hope to see all of you in person soon. Thank you to Mr. Gordo's class, his fourth grade class, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Cruzat's first grade class for taking the time to share your experience with distance learning. To the students at Madison Elementary, I recall my days and steps at Madison and know that you represent the future of Pasadena. Thank you to the residents of Pasadena, all of you who have expressed trust and confidence in me to serve as mayor of this great city. I would also like to and recognize my city council colleagues, beginning with Councilmember Steve Madison, who has constituents in the city tirelessly for 22 years, always timing and balancing his humor and intellect perfectly. Councilmember Gene Masuda, a veteran contributor at City Hall, who understands and knows his constituency as most of us only dream of knowing our neighbors. Councilmember Tyrone Hampton, who brings passion, smarts, and heart to the City Council. Councilmember Felicia Williams, who has already injected an important insight, drive, and view to our thinking. Councilmember John Kennedy, a longtime Pasadena resident with deep roots in Pasadena. Councilmember Jess Rivas, who brings a wealth and breadth of experience that is sure to inform the council and our city. And of course, Vice Mayor Andy Wilson, who brings a thoughtful, pensive, but yet increasingly deliberate perspective to the council. So very un Geneva, Andy. Thank you, all of my colleagues, for your hard work, your dedication to the residents of your district, and of course, for your collective efforts to benefit the city and people of Pasadena. Let's start with the COVID-19 update. Pasadena has proven to be a resilient city. We're populated by strong and committed people. By working together in the past, we've overcome economic recessions, earthquakes, and a myriad of other challenges. However, in the past year, we've collectively experienced a time like no other. Now is the moment to call upon our resilient spirit, our willingness to work together to overcome and ensure that all Pasadena residents, including those among us who are less fortunate, have an opportunity to not only rebound, but to thrive. As Pasadena returns to the vibrant, special place we all love, and you should all be certain, as a city and as a people, that we will return stronger than ever. As a son, father, brother, husband, resident, and mayor of Pasadena, my heart really goes out to all of our neighbors and friends whose health or that of a loved one has been affected by COVID-19, as well as to those persons who have been devastated by its subsequent economic impact, or possibly a dire combination of both. Far too many among us, far too many lives will never be the same, and we must keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. In Pasadena alone, 300 people have lost their lives due to COVID-19. And I would ask that we observe a brief moment of silent reflection for all of those affected during this global pandemic. Thank you. While COVID-19 has certainly brought us unprecedented challenges, the crisis has also rallied our community to work together to help one another. Housing of our vulnerable population during this past year has been a trying challenge, but one where we have made a difference in so many lives. In partnership with Union Station Homeless Services, over 100 unsheltered persons were moved into hotel rooms. Our mobile showers program was expanded, and hundreds of hygiene kits were distributed to those in need. Our emergency rental assistance program allotted nearly $1 million to assist COVID-19 impacted households for up to 3 months. And the city made significant progress in affordable housing development with its newly completed Decker and Gilcourt projects, providing 16 low-income households with first-time home buyer units and opportunities. Purchased by the city from Caltrans, the Waverly House was repaired, renovated, and now provides housing for formerly homeless women. The Pasadena Community Foundation also provided a grant to Habitat for Humanity to construct an accessory dwelling unit on the Waverly site for additional affordable housing. Funding commitments were made for 2 new housing developments, starting with the Salvation Army's Hope Center and Bridge Housing's Heritage Square South, which will house over 130 people experiencing chronic homelessness, including seniors and veterans. We put together an outreach team for efforts related to COVID and the business community. The team quickly assembled a content-rich webpage geared towards local businesses, highlighting how to receive assistance from local, state, and federal government sources. And we maintained regular ongoing communication with the city's improvement districts, its corporate citizens, real estate professionals, and the business community at large. It has been a roller coaster, particularly for our restaurants, our retail, and other small businesses. And our city team helps support these establishments with an online directory for takeout, for delivery services, outdoor dining guidelines, grants, reimbursement programs, and additional assistance. Our Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department help facilitate and deliver healthy, nourishing meals to Pasadena seniors through the Great Plates program, which helped to subsidize several local businesses that stepped up to assist for months with this effort. The city also provided funding and distribution of 152,600 grab-and-go lunches every week at 7 Pasadena Unified School District sites for PUSD students and their families. So far, the city has contributed $572,000 to 10 food banks, pantries, and feeding programs, which in turn has provided sustenance to over 27,000 residents of the city who are experiencing food insecurity. The Foothill Workforce Development Board, led by Pasadena, assisted laid-off employees with finding alternate solutions. And to help offset the economic downturn, the city issued nearly $11 million in rebates to its residents and businesses, because we are all truly in this together. Let's talk about recovering from the COVID crisis. To recover from the COVID crisis, more vaccine is required, and we must move swiftly to ensure the efficient, effective, and equitable vaccination of our residents. In that regard, I'm calling on the state and federal government to distribute more vaccines to cities like Pasadena that quickly prepared for a distribution system only to be failed with insufficient supply. When provided with an appropriate supply, Pasadena can and will do its part to effectively distribute and administer the vaccine. Recovering will also mean addressing the very serious mental health challenges that the pandemic has caused among all age groups, but particularly among our children. It is crucial to recognize that many of our young people have struggled to remain focused on education and lost important opportunities to socialize, interact, and participate in group activities, including sports, simple and fundamental activities that are so developmentally important as they evolve into the next phase of their lives. Tonight, you heard directly from students at Madison Elementary, and they shared with us a sampling of the challenges they face every day. As a community, we have a responsibility to pay close attention to what our kids and our educators are experiencing. We must work to ensure that our schools reopen in a manner that is safe for students and educators alike and consistent with all appropriate guidelines so that students have the opportunity to participate in activities that allow them to socialize, compete, and simply laugh and smile together. I am asking our City Council and staff to take up this very subject at our upcoming joint meeting with the Pasadena Unified School District Board. We must work together to ensure every child in this city has an opportunity to participate in programs that are of interest to them and enrich their lives. Subjects like science, music, athletics, and the arts. They need to get back to it. The local economy is a factor. We cannot say we are on the road to recovery without addressing the issue of our local economy. As a city and a region, we must focus our hard-earned dollars to make every effort to buy local. Remember, every penny you spend with our local business community goes to supporting our neighbors who are employed by those establishments. So I would encourage everyone to please buy local and support businesses in our community. While we have asked so many to slow down, we've also asked many others to act much more quickly. I want to thank our healthcare professionals and essential workers, including city employees, and I want to express my gratitude for their willingness to respond during this unprecedented time. To all of you who stepped up, thank you. Let's talk about social equity and policing. As you all know, 2020 brought great awareness to social justice and policing. The nation engaged in discussions, protests, civil unrest, and ongoing dialogue in day-to-day conversations, with Pasadena supporting its residents to exercise their First Amendment rights in a safe manner. Thank you to all of those who respectfully made their views known. We recognize that every minute of every hour, brave men and women serving in the Pasadena Police Department are also working to protect us. At the same time, we also recognize the need for building trust and confidence in policing, and you can expect to see fair and effective reform. If we are truly to create lasting change, the social equity dialogue must extend beyond policing. Evident is the need to get back to basics, doing all we can to provide children and youth with positive alternative activities, supporting quality education, and helping people of all ages with access to job training and viable employment. Viable employment that leads to a successful career and improved quality of life. Given the extraordinary challenges we face today, implementation of the city's early childhood development policy and the Office of the Young Child is now more important than ever. Assuring that our youngest children are healthy, safe, and successful as they develop is key to addressing and ending the cycle of racism, inequity, and violence. With regard to public safety, we've seen a 20% drop in overall crime in our city. However, we should all be disturbed that Pasadena, like much of the rest of the country and the region, is experiencing an increase in violent crime. Nationwide, violent crime has increased 35%. In 2020, in Pasadena, we saw a 50% increase in people who were identified as victims of a shooting and were actually shot. In 2021, we have already seen 7 shootings, 5 victims, including the recent shooting of an innocent 10-year-old boy. This activity is not acceptable. And my expectation, like that of every member of the City Council, is that the Pasadena Police Department will work with law enforcement agencies at all levels to identify and bring the perpetrators of these crimes to justice. With regard to city finances, the city has lost approximately $30 million in revenue and spent approximately $30 million in COVID-19 related expenses as a result of the pandemic. And there is no question that our 20% reserve policy has served us well. Unfortunately, some COVID-19 expenditures, such as leave granted under the CARES Act, is not eligible for FEMA reimbursement. We also do not anticipate that expenditures relating to our on-street dining efforts or action taken early on to regulate recreation at the Rose Bowl Loop will be accepted by FEMA. So while the hope is that the city will be reimbursed for the majority of its COVID-19 related expenditures, there are likely costs incurred that will not be accepted or eligible. Since we are continuously working on cost documentation and FEMA submittals, I don't have a hard estimate for how much this might be, but the CARES Act leave alone was $2.5 million, and we will go after every dollar that we possibly can. That said, it is imperative that we continue the practice of smart and fiscally responsible budgeting. Budgeting that has allowed us to provide some measures of support and relief to residents and businesses as they navigate the impact and uncertainties caused by the pandemic. Even in the midst of this crisis, as recently as this month, the City Council took action to replenish our reserve, and we will continue to do so. Keeping our reserve healthy is a paramount goal for the City Council. With regard to our general fund reserves, they are as follows. The 5% operating reserve is at $2,500,000. The 15% emergency reserve remains untouched with $41,339,000. Our Section 115 trust reserve remains untouched at $12,800,000. With regard to our sales tax, Pasadena's sales tax payments have continued to be received according to our original revenue forecasts. And fortunately, no additional adjustments are being made at this time, but we are very watchful. Revenue details for the fourth quarter, October through December of 2020, will not be available until April or May, but we are cautiously optimistic. Independent businesses selling on Amazon reported more than 60% year-over-year growth from the same Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend in 2019. That's great news. Our sales tax revenue through the end of 2020 was $11,187,000. Measure I sales tax through the end of 2020 was $8,151,000. All of this to say, I am happy to report that overall, the city's financial position is stable at this time, but we must continue to be cautious and guarded with our spending, because I am particularly concerned about the Rose Bowl and the Convention Center. As we all know, both venues are currently prohibited from hosting large events and generating revenue. So the city's general fund must serve as a backstop for debt service of each. The future of hosting in-person conventions and large-scale conferences is still unknown and remains a cause of concern for all of us. a combination of wanting to avoid large indoor crowds, plus the convenience and reduced costs to attend virtual conventions will likely pose an economic challenge going forward. The city's financial status notwithstanding, the pandemic has had devastating impacts to our local economy. There have been dramatic shifts in business stability and employment. In general, Pasadena's unemployment rate continues to be similar to the statewide levels, but remains 2 to 3 percentage points better than Los Angeles County. We went from a peak unemployment rate of 16.4% in May of 2020. Then California's unemployment rate fell to 8.2% in November. However, today it's likely close to 10% statewide. Pasadena's retail and restaurant segments, as we all know, were significantly impacted by the pandemic. We saw diminished foot traffic, continued in-store limitations, and an accelerated shift to digital shopping that has put much more pressure on brick and mortar retailers. Again, too many of our local businesses have shuttered. The changing health regulations over the past 11 months have also created overwhelming challenges for restaurants and retailers. This is so notwithstanding the city invested in street dining, barricades, waived various parking requirements to allow for dining in parking lots, provided grants for storefronts, and issued utility rebates to electric customers. Ultimately, it is really our individual decisions to support our local businesses that will help make a difference. So let's support our local businesses. Finally, an uptick in travel is not expected to begin until spring and will take years to reach 2019 pre-pandemic levels. Let us keep in mind that Pasadena's economy, while diverse, is heavily reliant on people traveling to Pasadena to work, to dine, to shop, to be entertained, to recreate, to educate, and to be educated. Pre-pandemic, in the neighborhood of 105,000 people visited our city every day. Now, as you might imagine, that number has tumbled. Let me say it again. Support our local businesses. So with all of this information, where are we headed? Let me say, we have reason to be optimistic. Despite big challenges, there are people working diligently in preparation for when the economy swings back. Yes, this is a time like no other. A global pandemic, economic uncertainty, unemployment, an uptick in violent crime, social inequity, a housing crisis, and homelessness. But I am confident that as a people and as a community, we will come together and persevere. With regard to the COVID-19 crisis, the number of those infected with the virus has recently dropped dramatically. In fact, in every metric, we're doing better. Newly reported cases are down to a 7-day average of under 20. Hospitalizations are down, and importantly, the number of individuals needing intensive care has dropped dramatically. As we await more vaccine, let's not let our guard down. Let's continue to be responsive and responsible. On the economy front, already economists, including the Anderson School, are upbeat and forecasting GDP growth at 1.2% in fourth quarter 2020, 1.8% growth in first quarter 2021, and 6% growth in second quarter 2021, and then a 3% growth in third quarter 2021. I ask that we all do our part to ensure our local businesses and local economy exceed these projections, and urge everyone, again, to please shop, dine, and spend locally. Let's keep that in mind and reconnect with our local business owners and our neighbors who work in Pasadena. As it relates to violence in our community, I've shared with our city manager city prosecutor, and police chief that we must actively strive to solve these crimes. There is not a stone to be left unturned as we work to identify and bring perpetrators of criminal activity to justice so that they are held accountable for their actions. I would also encourage our community to be part of the solution. Implement or participate in a neighborhood watch program, check on your neighbors, know what's happening on your street and on your block. And if you see something, say something. I am buoyed by what I believe to be a re-energized and collective agreement that all in our community benefit when we increase and make available Path to Success for all residents of our city and community. There are different stages to this effort, and I will introduce some immediate steps in the very near future. The Office of the Young Child, which focuses on our youngest residents and infants to age 5, is an important long-term solution that will require long-term investment in our community. Many have commented to me, what a time to be mayor. Crisis after crisis and challenge after challenge. Do you regret running for mayor? My answer is this. I am fortunate to serve as mayor of Pasadena during the most difficult of times. Yes, it's a tough time to serve, but I feel prepared and I am honored to serve as your mayor. Be assured your city council is well equipped to provide sound, rational decision-making through civil discourse at a time when it is needed most. And we are proud to represent the residents of this great city. Tonight, as we remember those who have lost their lives to COVID-19 and hold those whose lives will be forever changed by this pandemic in our thoughts, let us look forward to the day when our community can say that we made it through a time like no other. As young Amy Nolasco, a first grade student at Madison Elementary, said at the beginning of this program, even if our situations are difficult, we only need to try and focus on what is important to us. I know sometimes it's difficult, but we can learn to work through it, she said. Amy, you are wise beyond your years, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and your classmates. As we move forward together, know that it is my distinct honor and pleasure to serve as your mayor, and that I am committed to keeping Pasadena as the center of the universe. Thank you and good night.
Mayor Gordo, thank you for sharing this 2021 State of the City address with us. And thank you for your dedication and commitment to lead this great city. Now we'll have a brief Q&A where the mayor will answer some questions from community members submitted via video.
Hi, everyone. This is your mayor, Victor Gordo, coming to you from my backyard with another backyard chat. Let me first say it's a windy day today, so we'll have to fight the elements a little bit as we try and get our message out to you directly. First and foremost, I want to talk about one of the issues that is on the top of all of our minds, and that's the increase in violent crime. As many of you know, Pasadena's crime overall has decreased by 20%. But that's of little consolation to all of us because as we also know, we've seen an uptick in violent crime. It's not unique to Pasadena. It's happening all around us throughout the region and throughout the country. Rest assured that I've communicated together with my council colleagues to the city manager and to the police chief that the perpetrators of these crimes must be brought to justice. It is unacceptable for anyone to feel unsafe in any neighborhood in Pasadena or any of our parks in Pasadena or anywhere in Pasadena. And so be sure and be certain that the Pasadena Police Department is doing all it can to bring these perpetrators to justice. I want to encourage all of you to let your views known and tune in on Monday night as your city council discusses these issues. I also want to take some questions from the public. Many of you have been anxious to ask questions, and so going forward in our backyard chats, I'm going to include an opportunity for the public to ask some questions. Let's go to Perry Helm first. Perry?
Hello, Mr. Mayor. My name is Perry Helm. I've been a resident of Southern California for the last 25 years and the last 20 years or so in Upper Hastings Ranch in Pasadena. When I first moved to Southern California, I was concerned about how to protect my family against an earthquake. And so I joined the CERT team, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. I also got involved with the Pasadena Fire Department's Disaster Advisory Council, specializing in Map Your Neighborhood, which is a program endorsed by the city of Pasadena to help neighborhoods become prepared for disaster, neighbors helping neighbors. Because we know that if a disaster strikes, fire department won't be able to help everyone right away. We have to help ourselves. On February 22nd, a couple days ago, Chad Augustin became our new Pasadena Fire Department chief. And one of the reasons that he was chosen was because of his extensive community involvement in the Sacramento area. And if I might quote what he had to say, he said, "My goal is for Pasadena to become known as the most resilient city in California. The next disaster is coming, whether an earthquake, a flood, fire, mudslide, or pandemic, and it is my responsibility to work closely with the community to provide well-prepared and trained staff. Through community partnerships and education, we can achieve this goal," end quote. Personally, I liked what he's saying because it's exactly what I think. So, Mr. Mayor, I would like to know how you plan to work with our new chief to help prepare the residents of Pasadena for the next disaster, which we just can't avoid, but we need to prepare for. Thank you for your time, sir.
Perry, thank you for your question all the way from Pasadena. Yes, let's welcome our new fire chief, Chad Augustine, who's an experienced fire professional and is going to do a tremendous job. I'm well aware that Chief Augustine is very interested in emergency preparedness and will make a concerted effort to get out to all of our neighborhoods, help with neighborhood mapping, help with earthquake preparedness and other disaster preparedness. In the meantime, I want to remind everyone, in the event of an emergency, prepare yourself by dressing safely. Check on your family immediately. Know where the gas shutoff is. Know where the water shutoff is.
Hello, my name is Nayeli, and I'm a junior at Pasadena High School. I grew up using the fields at Villa Park as well as the rest of the parks in the Northwest area. However, there has been an increase of violence. So I want to ask, how will you as a mayor work with the community to address the violence in the parks of Pasadena, including La Pintoresca and Jackie Robinson?
Thanks for the question, Naomi. This is, again, as I said earlier in the discussion, this is an issue that's very important. People's safety in their neighborhood, in every neighborhood in this city, every part of our city, is of paramount importance to me and to every member of the city council. And you can be certain that we will provide programming at the parks to bring people back into the park. Jackie Robinson Park, Victory Park, Villa Park, La Pintoresca Park, every park in our city is going to see activation of fun and positive activities for families and for kids to participate in. But we'll also have an increased presence of police officers throughout the city. Chief Perez assures me that he has patrol officers that are making it a point to make themselves seen and visible in every part of our city in order to deter crime. Now we'll go to Herminia Ortiz for the next question.
Señor alcalde, buenas tardes. Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo podemos tener accesos a los recursos de la ciudad? Porque la mayoría de nosotros no sabemos de tecnología. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. My question to you is, how can we have access to the city resources? Because many of us do not know anything about technology. Thank you.
Gracias por la pregunta, señor Ortiz. Déjeme asegurarle que el tema de tecnología en todas nuestras comunidades es muy importante. Y el Consejo Municipal va a estar enfocado en traer más tecnología a todos los vecindarios de Pasadena para que se ayuden los ancianos, los estudiantes y todas las familias. What I said to Senor Ortiz is, we've seen in this crisis that technology is of paramount importance to families in Pasadena, and access to technology isn't as even as we should all strive for it to be. We've seen students struggle at home during class in this moment of crisis. But let's keep in mind that even when they go back to school, when we're back to normal, and we will be, it's still an issue because students and seniors in our community need to have access to technology in order to stay updated on news and information, in order to be able to receive a backyard chat right in their home, but also for students to do their homework. And so this is an issue that we will take up as a city council together with the school board.
This is Perry from Perry's Joint in Pasadena. My question to the mayor. Mayor Gordo, given the events of the last year, from the pandemic to racial injustice, how has that affected your thought process, your consciousness as one who would govern as a politician and as a mayor of this beautiful city? Thank you.
Thank you, Perry, for your questions. 2 Perrys in one sitting. That's pretty good. I invite everyone to visit, by the way, Perry's Joint on North Lincoln Avenue. It's a terrific place, great coffee, great food, and everyone should visit. You know, this last year, Perry, has been very transformative to me, to everyone around me, to all of us. You know, a combination of the COVID crisis and the need to help one another and work together as a community, one community, the social justice and all that it revealed in terms of economic opportunities, not being afforded education, not being equal, all of the things that have surfaced, policing, of course, and the need to reform policing and build trust in our communities. All of these issues have changed me as an individual, and I would suggest to you probably changed all of us who are thinking about these issues.
Buenas tardes, Alcalde Gordo. My name is Erika Gutierrez. I'm a small business owner and a lifetime resident of Pasadena. I have a 2-part question for you. Black, brown, and indigenous people of our community are extremely underrepresented in their access to city resources to help them initiate, maintain, and scale their businesses. What specific strategies, resources, and timelines are you willing to commit to support a significant growth in the number of Black, brown, and indigenous owned businesses and the long-term success of already established ones? Second, I would like to formally propose that there be a regularly scheduled meeting every other month between you, Mayor, and Black, brown, and indigenous small business owners in our community in order to continue the discussion about small business needs, as well as work on developing a strong and reliable relationship between us. When can we count on you to have our first meeting?
Thank you, Erica, for the question. Absolutely, I look forward to meeting with you and your colleagues. Vanya will reach out and schedule that first meeting. But let me just say, as I stand here, that supporting our small businesses, all small businesses, is important. But we have to keep in mind that historically, minority-owned businesses have not had access to the financing, have not had access to the resources that are needed to grow a small business. And so I intend to look at that issue. I believe that last year, during the discussions and continuing discussions this year on social justice, that's one of the issues that surfaced, is economic opportunity and the importance of supporting small businesses that are minority owned, and we'll do that. Thank you.
Mayor Gordo, with the need to increase affordable housing in Pasadena, has Pasadena considered adaptive reuse of underutilized commercial and industrial buildings, particularly office buildings, as potential conversions to affordable housing? It seems reasonable that this approach could be less expensive and have less impacts than new construction?
Thank you, Vic, for the question. Absolutely, we should look at adaptive reuse of industrial and business properties for the purpose of affordable housing. Rather than develop new, together, let's look at the possibility of reusing some of these properties that are vacant, that have been affected by the business climate, and some of them that post-COVID may not come back as commercial or brick and mortar retail. And so I'm prepared to do that. I think the city council will embrace the study of that. I'm looking to the planning commission to do the same thing and give us their best thinking. But certainly we will have to double our efforts for affordable housing. Adaptive reuse of existing buildings is one way to do it and lessen the impact on our built environment. Thank you everyone for joining me in this week's Backyard Chat. As I said, you can expect more of these as a way to communicate directly with your mayor. Please keep the questions coming. Thank you everyone, and sorry for the windy day today, but it's a beautiful day in Pasadena. And again, an honor and a privilege to serve as your mayor.
With that, I would like to thank the Pasadena staff for making this virtual event possible, and thank everyone for watching the 2021 State of the City address this evening. I'm praying that next year we can all be together in person for the 2022 State of the City address. I miss seeing all of your gleaming faces. Good night and be well.
Recently, the city has helped restaurants to expand their dining areas into alleyways and into streets. We encourage you to support our local businesses in a safe outdoor environment. Visit Pasadena has helpful outdoor dining guides where you can find all of your alfresco dining options. Visit Pasadena.com. Our local restaurants are working hard to make sure that you can still enjoy your time while out. In addition to disinfecting seats and tables, many restaurants are using digital menus, disposable utensils to minimize contact. Ready to eat? Before you go out, check our tips for keeping yourself and others safe while dining out. Masks whenever you're in public. Masks protect you and restaurant staff and others around you. Our restaurants are eating you back. If you don't feel comfortable dining out, please support our local businesses by ordering in.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, children are spending more time at home, potentially leading to exposure to lead. Many potential sources of lead can be found in or around the home, such as lead-based paint, dust, and soil. In addition to general cleaning and disinfecting surfaces during the pandemic, you can help prevent lead exposure from dust and dirt by frequently cleaning floors, window sills, hands, and toys. It is also important to check for and safely address other potential sources of lead in and around your home. Even small amounts of lead can affect children's behavior, growth, and learning. It is important that children at risk for lead poisoning get a blood lead test, even during COVID-19. Healthcare offices throughout the state are taking precautions to ensure patients are safe when visiting. If you think your child might have been around lead, ask your child's doctor about a blood lead test. To speak with a public health nurse on childhood lead poisoning and how to prevent it, you can call 626-744-6171.
Chances are, when you hear City of Roses, you immediately think of Pasadena. At least we hope so. The Rose Bowl, Rose Parade, Tournament of Roses. It's all here and more. This is a beautiful place to work, live, play, visit. But it takes a lot of planning and a lot of people to keep our city and neighborhoods vibrant and thriving. It takes a general plan, or as we like to call it, a citizen's blueprint for development to address important growth issues like land use, housing, environment, transportation, safety, noise, Parks. Think of a general plan like a big tree. Maybe think of Pasadena's Morton Bay fig tree, whose branches and roots connect neighborhoods and communities to an overarching vision. And in Pasadena, this vision includes 8 neighborhoods with 8 specific plans, each plan tailored to frame neighborhood's personality and character. 1. Lincoln Avenue. 2. Central District. 3. East Colorado. 4. East Pasadena. 5. Fair Oaks Orange Grove. 6. La Monda Park. 7. North Lake. 8. South Fair Oaks. So what does this mean for your neighborhood? Well, let's take a look at 3 specific plans for 3 very different areas. Lincoln Avenue Corridor is home to multi-generations who often live and work in this dynamic area. Small business rules and entrepreneurship thrives in a neighborhood that's a blend of cultures, music, foods, languages. So a Lincoln Avenue specific plan is tailored to an area that will need smaller shops, wider streets, small mixed-use buildings to honor generations of families and welcome newcomers. Now, what makes sense in Lincoln Avenue might not make sense in East Pasadena. So let's talk about what that specific plan might look like. This is an area known for its shopping centers and job centers. But with the specific plan, we can ask, what if? Sure, this shopping district has everything you can find. But what if getting there was easier? And what if you could walk to stores? Central District. Starting from scratch? Not hardly. But the opportunities are there and waiting for you to make your mark, express your vision, and shape the future. Hey, this is a citizen's blueprint, and we can all join in to express ourselves, plan our future, contribute to make our mark, express who we are, and establish beautiful, prosperous neighborhoods for years to come. So come on, let's get this plan in motion to make all of Pasadena a better place to be.
Stay informed. Be up to date on your city news, announcements, and information. Have an issue to report? Which city department do you need? What's on the City Council agenda tonight? These answers and more can be found on the city's website, cityofpasadena.net. Want to find out about the city's next event? Keep current with the events calendar. You can also follow, like, and comment on Twitter at PasadenaGov and Instagram and Facebook at City of Pasadena. Stay connected and stay informed to your community. Hey Pasadena, here are some tips to keep mentally healthy during this difficult time. Walking is a great way to get outdoors and take in nature. You can get some exercise, walk your pet, and wave to some of your neighbors as well. Need to focus your energies? Meditate. Yoga is also a great way to calm your anxieties. Missing friends? Now's a great time to virtually connect with friends and old acquaintances. Start or join various chat groups. Maybe even start a group sing-along. Keeping your mind sharp is vital. No better way than that to learn a new language to enhance your social skills and cultural environment. Or learn an instrument, piano, guitar, saxophone. Music is a creative outlet that will make an efficient use of your time. These are just a few things to keep you feeling good, Pasadena. For information about mental wellness, please call the Social and Mental Health Division of the Pasadena Health Department at 626-744-6339. And remember, continue to stay healthy and safe. When you're out purchasing supplies, including food, personal hygiene products, and other essentials to get you through a potential 14-day quarantine, please think of your neighbors and only purchase items you truly need. Being prepared does not mean stockpiling or hoarding. Hoarding items like hand sanitizer or disinfectant wipes only means your neighbors don't have what they need to protect themselves from getting sick. Remember, we're all in this together, and we must continue looking out for one another. Keep checking our website, cityofpasadena.net, for accurate news and information regarding COVID-19, and follow us on Twitter at PasadenaGov and Instagram and Facebook at City of Pasadena.